Hey, good evening, everyone. Happy Saturday night. I hope you had a great day. If you live in Michigan, this weather was beautiful today. It was a perfect day outside. It was so nice to be out and taking a walk. I took several walks today. It was gorgeous out. And my hope is that this weather just hangs on. I would love to have another weekend like this, just like this next weekend, since we have the big bat mitzvah and we will be having all of our Shabbat meals out in our backyard. So my hope is that the weather hangs on just like this for next weekend. I don't care what it does in the middle. Actually, can do something not nice, Monday and Tuesday, but the tent's being set up on Wednesday. So our hope is for beautiful, beautiful weather from Wednesday on. So if you are praying type, give me some extra shout outs would be great. We would appreciate them. But tonight I wanted to talk to you about a thought process that I was having today. I was talking to my daughter today. My daughter who's having her bat mitzvah, and we were going through her speech. And I don't want to reveal too much for those of you who are going to be here, but we were talking about her speech, and one of the things that I started looking at through some of the stuff that we were reading and learning from was about, creating your own world, creating the world that you want to live in, right? What we were talking about is, God created the world. So, I'm going to get a little religious here on you guys. But God created the world, right? But within that power, we have the power to create the world that we want to live in, right? To create by our actions, by the things that we do, we're creating the world that we want to live in. And that's really, really powerful, a really powerful thought. And I never really, I got into this whole conversation with her today, and I had never really thought of it this way. I mean, yes, I think about, what I want in my life and the actions that I do, how they ripple out. I mean, I've talked about that a lot with you guys, right? That, how every little action, right? It's sort of like, that book, and I know I've talked about this before, the little bug that went achoo, right? Who sneezes, and it's a ripple effect of one thing to the next, 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 right? So that's, but this took this to sort of the next level of what world, if you closed your eyes and envisioned a world in a certain way, how would you envision the world? What do you want to see in it? And then within that, what can you do in your world to create that, right? Because every single one of us has the ability to create the world that we want to live in. That can be, happiness. That can be, I don't think anybody wants bad things, but, it really has a big impact when you start looking at things like that every one of your actions, every one of our individual actions creates that world that we want to live in. So when we stop and think and act in such a way that it's building that, right? We're building we are literally building the world that we want to live in, right? With every single one of our actions, every single one of our responses to somebody, the way we smile at somebody, right? And I've talked about this before, that when you just go and just smile at somebody and brightens their day, that changes everything. And we have no idea how that ripple effect can play out and where that goes. I was actually the other day, I was out someplace and I walked up, and it was actually, we were at the hospital. It was last week when I was at the hospital with Emma, and she was back. She had had her procedure done, and I have a little pager that buzzes when she's ready. And I walked up to the desk when it buzzed, and the woman sitting there at the desk clearly had a rough something before I walked up, right? And she sort of responded when I walked up, and and said something about my pager had buzzed, and she sort of snipped, right? And I hadn't said anything, and I smiled and I said, "How are you?" I said, I switched it and said, "How are you today?" It showed her that I wasn't just looking for her to do something for me. I stopped and I cared about her, and immediately she softened and she smiled and she said, "Oh," and she said, "I'm having a rough morning." And I said, "I'm so sorry to hear that," right? But I smiled, and we actually started chit-chatting, and then she walked me back to where Emma was. But the whole demeanor changed, right? Where I knew when she had sort of snipped, had nothing to do with me. I had just walked up to the counter. Clearly something else was on her mind. But that's us creating the world that we want to live in. Acting that way, making choices that way, right? I could, totally can shift the world that we're in, can totally help somebody shift the world that they're in. And that's really, really powerful. But we can do it for ourselves as well, right? We can get up on a day and, I know we've all had these days where, you wake up and you're just get up on the wrong side of the bed, right? You just aren't with it. And we can let that roll and let that ruin our whole day, or we can take a deep breath and say, what kind of world do I want to create today? What kind of life do I want to live today? Do I want to be happy? Do I want to be angry? Where do I want to be? And I can't think of anybody who really wants to spend their day angry, right? If you want to spend your day angry, let's talk, because I think we're going to shift some things in, right? But I don't know anyone who wants to spend their day angry. I mean, I know I have this conversation with my kids in the mornings if they're having a rough morning and they, right, and they're knocking at each other or knocking at me or whatever it is, right? And I can look at them and say, is this really how you want to start your day, right? Is this really where you want to be at the end of the day, right? No, most people don't. But most people also don't stop and think about it. And what is the way that they want to create their world create their world, right? And this can come into health and wellness too, right? I mean, this is all about mental health, which is a key piece in health and wellness, right? A lot of times, most of my clients come to me for physical change, right? I lost 75 pounds and I've totally changed my life, but it's so much more. That physical change is so much more than just the physical change, right? If all I had done was followed the food plan that my coach gave me, yeah, I would have lost the weight. But I would not still be sitting here 3.5 years later talking about it. Because if I hadn't changed what was going on up here, and if I hadn't decided that I wanted to create a better world for myself, right, I wouldn't still be sitting here, because I wouldn't be dealing with, I still struggle with these, with some of the same issues, with the emotional eating and all those things, but I wouldn't have learned how to deal with them to be creating a better world for myself, right? I wouldn't have recognized that. And that is so key and so important for so many of us, right? To really stop. And when we're on a journey, whether it is for physical health, whether it's for financial health, whether it's for mental health, whatever it is, stop and really think, if I envision my perfect world, what does it look like, right? What does it look like? What are those things that look like, what does it mean to have happiness, right? Or really actually, like I talked about last week, happiness versus satisfaction. What does it look like to feel satisfied in your life? Right? What does that envision, right? Is that about physical transformation? For some people, that's where it starts, right? That's where it started for me. But I can tell you, physical transformation does not bring happiness and satisfaction more than just a little bit. It helps with some of it, right? I feel better. I like how I look in my clothing now, right? I feel better, but it was about so much more than that. If it had just been about that, I wouldn't still be here, right? So really figuring out for yourself, what does that mean? What are you creating? What do you want your world to look like? So it may start with physical transformation. But when you think of being completely happy or completely satisfied in your life, what does that mean? Does that mean, having a successful business? Does that mean having your children be, happily, engaged in school or in their extracurricular activities? Does that mean, a change in your relationship with your children? Does that mean a change in your relationship with your spouse or with your friends around you, right? All of those things are so important, right? What is that you want? What is it that you want? And one of my clients I was talking to last week, and it was amazing. We were having this conversation. She's about 6 weeks into plan, and she said to me, Leslie, she's like, I feel amazing. She's doing great. She is rocking the program. The weight is melting right off. She feels great. She's looking great. And she said to me, my one issue, she said, all of my friends are starting to change. And I said, what? What do you mean all your friends are starting to change? And I sort of knew where she was going with this. She said, yeah. She's like, I'm not clicking with them the same way. And I started laughing. I said, oh, your friends aren't changing. I said, you're changing. You are recognizing that things can be so much better in your world than they were 6 weeks ago, right? And so you're shifting your mindset, and your friends aren't. They're staying right where they are. I said, and a couple of things are going to happen. One, they're going to see how happy you are, and they're going to start to make some shifts too. And that's what we hope for, right? We want people to find true happiness in their lives, right? And get, because she was commenting that they're all really shallow about things now. And that's what she sees. And as we talked through this, she realized, she said, yeah, I guess I am the one who's changing, right? But, I said, so either they're going to come along with you, and and your relationships with them are going to evolve, or you're going to realize that maybe they aren't the people that you want to be as close with, right? Not to say that you should push your friends away. That is not at all what I'm saying. But maybe it's time that you find, that you're going to click and connect with. This is an opportunity to click and connect with some other people who are now following along with what you're seeing is bringing you happiness and what you're seeing is bringing you satisfaction. And that you're realizing that life is about so much more than what it was just 6 weeks ago as you're learning about who you want to become. And that's really, really, really powerful. And that was part of this conversation that I was having with my daughter, is really figuring out, what do you want your world to look like, right? Who do you want to surround yourself with, right? What contribution do you want to have in this world to make it a better place? And I can't be more proud of my daughter with everything that she's done around her bat mitzvah. As you guys, if you've been following it all, right? She asked for monetary donations to go to our Chai Lifeline team. Instead of getting gifts, she went out and is doing a drive for art supplies for the kids of Chai Lifeline, right? It's been amazing, the response that we've gotten. So many art supplies have just been showing up at our door. Today, several more boxes from Amazon from friends who don't live locally, who have just been ordering stuff off of our wish list, have just been showing up at the house, right? Every time we open the door, there's another box or another bag of art supplies from somebody in the neighborhood who's dropping stuff off. We were walking home from synagogue this morning, and one of our neighbors down the street, hey Gail, one of our neighbors from down the street stops us, and she stopped my husband first because he was ahead, and she said, are you Emma's dad? And he said, yeah. And she said, I want to donate some art supplies. And then as we were walking back behind, a little bit behind, she stopped Emma and she said, are you Emma? And Emma said, yeah, all shy. And she said, I want to give you some art supplies. I'm so excited for you. Thank you for doing this. This is amazing, right? And it really is, because what Emma's doing is she's helping to build the world in a way that she sees to make the world a better place, right? It's such a powerful thing. And it really, not only is she brightening the world by doing this, right, but it's brightening her own life. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Amy. Right? It's brightening her own life. So when we do things that are good for others, when we do things to help build a better world, we're building it for ourselves, but we're building it for others, right? We get so much satisfaction out of that. But she wasn't doing this. She did not put this together because it was going to make her feel good, right? She did this. She decided to do this because she wanted to help other people, but she's reaping the benefits from it as well, which is so powerful. So when you stop and think about, what kind of world do I want to be living in, right? What kind of world do I want to be living in? And then you go out and do something to create it, right? It starts from within us, right? The first thing we have to do is we have to take care of ourselves. But when we take care of ourselves, we're better able to take care of other people. It's sort of like the old adage when you're on, when you're on an airplane, right? And they say if something happens and the mask comes down, put on your mask before you before you help the person next to you, right? You got to take care of yourself first, because if you don't, then you're not any good to anybody else, right? That's the reality. So for me, getting healthy, the first thing I had to do was I had to start getting myself healthy first. Right? I had to start that, but I didn't have to be finished to be able to help other people. And that's such a key thing to remember. I hear this so frequently from clients who really want to join me in coaching, who really want to pay it forward. And they say, I'll do it when I get to my goal. And I laugh and I say, no, that's not how it works, right? I was only 6 weeks into my journey when I started helping other people, when I became a coach, right? Because if I waited till the end of my journey to start helping people get healthy, well, I wouldn't be coaching it yet, right? I'm not at the end of my journey. The end of my journey means I'm dead, right? Our journey doesn't end, right? I might have hit a weight loss goal, but the end of my journey isn't done, right? And the fact that I started helping people get healthy 6 weeks into my journey, first of all, helped me more. It's the same concept. When you help somebody else, you're also helping yourself. It helped me more. It helped me on my journey, right? But it also helped so many other people, right? Had I not started coaching 6 weeks into my journey, I would not have close to 1,500 lives touched because I decided to get healthy, right? It wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened if I had waited. And so it's so powerful, right? If you are looking to help change the world, if you're looking, first envision what you want that world to be. And maybe you can't envision it, right? 3.5 years ago when I started this journey and when I started coaching, I could never have envisioned the world that I'm helping to create now. Never, ever, ever. But I started where I was at then. I started to envision, and I didn't even realize what I was doing, to be truthful, right? But I did start to envision a world of a different place. I started to envision other people feeling as amazing as I felt. That's what I wanted, right? It started really small. I started coaching because I had a few key people in my life that I really wanted to help. Number one person was my sister, right? Number one person was my sister. I wanted to help her lose the weight. She and I have both struggled with weight all of our lives together, right? And I wanted to help her. And the only way I was going to be able to help her is if I started coaching, because she was not going to go to my coach because she didn't have a relationship with my coach, right? She wanted to work with somebody that she knew, that she had a relationship with, right? And so that's where I started, right? But that was helping one person change their life. And when you help one person change their life, it goes to 2, it goes to 3, it goes to 4, and 3.5 years later, I'm at close to 1,500, right? Wow, crazy, crazy, crazy. But it's real. Right? And we all do that in whatever it is. I mean, I've done it through the means of coaching, but we all trickle down and help. When we make a decision to build our world to be a better world, that trickle down comes and spirals out, right? And so much more. And we affect so many other lives that we don't even necessarily know that we're touching, right? Yeah, Amy, close to 1,500. And that's that I can count, right? That's who is technically like I know of, right? But I know there are other people. I know there are other people from the fact that I come and do these lives, that I post things. I mean, those are the people that are like sort of quote unquote official people that have gotten involved and officially made a change to their health because I've done this. And, you know, it's really powerful. You know, but we can all do that. That's the thing. Gail, thank you, you know. But the truth is, Gail, I don't feel like I'm that special. It's not about being special. It's about making a decision. It's about making a decision to do something to change the world and to build the world that we want to live in. And that's my message to you tonight, is that anybody can do it. Anybody can make a positive change in this world, you know, just by envisioning the world you want to live in and then doing it yourself, living it, right? Like I said, walking up to somebody, and if they look like they're having a bad day, just give them a big smile and ask how they are, right? Or say, I hope you have a great day, right? Give somebody some positive words of encouragement, because that changes the world. That little thing, because it continues to trickle, right? You know, I know how great I feel. If I feel like I'm in an icky mood and somebody smiles at me, it always lifts me up, right? And that's so important, right? We can all do that. We can all do that for people, no matter where we are. So I hope you have a great night. Have to go back downstairs. I posted the picture of the water bottle that we're labeling. We have 450 of them to label, so I left Micha downstairs labeling water bottles while I came up here to go live. So I got to go downstairs and finish labeling water bottles. It's going to be a crazy, fun week. We are super excited for the bat mitzvah next weekend. So many fun things that are going to be happening. I love happy occasions, bringing everybody together. You know, it'll be really nice to have our whole families and everybody together next week for Shabbat, and then Sunday for the big celebration. So got to get back to finishing up now all the nitty-gritty pieces that come together. So bear with me this week. I don't know what my week's going to look like. I promise you I will be live every day as normal, but it may be a little chaotic, and you may get a whole bunch more of like little details of this as we go on. But I hope you have a great night, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Bye.